Hello friends, Tanya here for Trinity Stamps, and today we're going to make a couple of really cute treat tags, and we're going to be using the Punny Mummy stamp set. I'm going to start out by ink blending a couple of 3" by 5.5" pieces of white cardstock with some pumice stone distress oxide. I'm just going to lay down a fairly even coat. It doesn't have to be super smooth or anything. We are making Halloween tags. Next, I'm taking several of these sentiments from the Punny Mummy stamp set, and I'm lining them up on my grid mat here, just to use that as a tool to get them kind of straight and fairly close together. What I want to do is create a background with these word stamps with all of these fun little sentiments that are included in the set. There are things like unwrap me, it's time to unwind, happy Halloween, you've aged really well. I think that's, no, you're very well preserved. That's what it was. And a special treat from your mummy. I am just going to use some hickory smoke, and you can see that my ink pad here is quite juicy. Yeah, that works to our advantage. It does create some very good sentiments on this tag. I'm just going to use these two groupings of sentiment stamps repeatedly over both of these tags, and we'll end up with some really fun backgrounds. You don't even need to necessarily be able to read these. There are lots of sentiment sets that you could use this with, and there are some background stamps. We do have an encouragement background stamp, and I could have chosen that because you wouldn't necessarily need to read the words again. But it's kind of fun to have the ones that come in your sentiment be used in a new and interesting way. Next, we're going to take one of the Distress Mica stains that came out for Halloween this year. And they are in the Trinity Stamps shop. This is Iron Gate. I'm just taking some of that mica stain, Distress Mica stain, and I'm dabbing it onto a acrylic block. And I'm adding a little water, and I'm going to spatter that over our pieces of cardstock. I wanted a little more control. I didn't want there to be any really solid sprays, and this gives me some more control. And here we have two panels. And next we're going to take the Slimline Tag Die Set, and we are going to cut out a couple of smaller tags here. And we're going to use these mummies that I had already stamped, colored, and die cut with the coordinating die set. And now we're going to use the Slimline Spooky Scene Builder. I think that's the name of this. And we're going to cut out these two trees in black cardstock. Not doing anything fancy to these trees. We're just going to use those on the tag as a background element. And then we're going to use this tag topper or tag hole reinforcer. And we're going to add that to the top of these tags. They do add a nice touch and a little extra zing to your creation. I could have done this in many different colors. I thought black would help tie the trees in to the design, and it would add a little extra reinforcement to our tag. Another way you could have changed how this was created is you could start with gray cardstock and do the stamping on the gray cardstock and then do some spattering. And now it's time to attach the trees. I'm just going to add some glue to the back of this, and we're going to line it up with the edge of the tag and just apply as much of the tree that will fit and trim off the extra off the bottom. Now we're going to pop up our mummy with some dimension. You can use whatever method you would like. You could even cut the same shape with some scrap cardstock and stick it behind your little mummy. There are lots of methods. Here we're going to glue the second tree to the second tag, and as you can see, I'm using the right facing tree with the right facing mummy and the left facing tree with the left facing mummy. Boy, say that 3 times fast. We're going to just make sure that's adhered nicely. I like to give it a good rub, and then I trim off that last piece of tree add our second mummy to our second tag. This one I'm putting a little lower, and hopefully I won't have any troubles fitting any of the pieces that I'm going to add to the top of these tags. Next, I've taken some of the sentiments from the same stamp set, and I'm going to heat emboss them on some white cardstock here. We've got a special treat from your grand mummy, and I'm going to stamp those with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink a couple of times each, so I get a nice thick layer of that pigment ink. And then we're going to heat emboss that with some clear embossing powder. That's one of my favorite ways to make sentiments stand out, and it does seal in that pigment ink so it doesn't smear, because I am a clumsy, messy stamper. That's just the way I am. This is just a bin full of several different kinds of clear embossing powder. There are lots of great ones on the market, and I'm just going to heat set that quick. And they're always gorgeous to see come to life when you do your heat embossing. Just a little bit left to go, and then I will die cut these with the coordinating dies. All of the sentiments in this set have coordinating dies. I do love that so much. You could even cut these apart a little bit and build different sentiments if you wanted. Here I'm making sure that all of them will fit nicely on our tags, and both of them are going to say the same thing. Again, it says a special treat from your grand mummy. I am a grand mummy. You could even make this say from a special treat from your mummy. There's lots of ways to build some different sentiments in this set. I really encourage you to check it out and see how many different creative sentiments you could come up with. This could even go on the slightly romantic side, since there is an unwrap me sentiment in this. We're going to assemble our second tag here, and I did add a little dimension behind each of these pieces of sentiment. I wanted them to really stand out on the cards. These turned out so cute. Mummies and ghosts and penguins and snowmen and polar bears. Those are all super easy things to color since they're primarily white. And I used some warm gray Copic markers to color the wrappings on most of these. I think the E30s would make a nice creamy tone. I still think I need to color one of these as a mummy, or excuse me, a rainbow mummy. That would be super fun. I did dig through my stash of twine, and I found this gray and white baker's twine, and I'm going to add that to the top of each of these tags. Just going to loop those through, and then I'll tie a knot in the end of each of them, and then I'll be able to loop them through whatever package I want. On a handle or around a ribbon or whatever will work to make those stay nicely attached. I thought I was done, but I still have one more thing I want to do. I pulled out the Boo Crew and Fright Night clay embellishment mixes. I just wanted some bats, and both of these have black bats. I chose to go with the Fright Night one, and I'm pulling out a few black bats for each of these tags. I'll just use some liquid glue to adhere those. I did think about using that larger bat in the lower position, but I like it in the upper corner. You can see that there are several colors of bats in here. We've got a green one, here's a purple, and there's an orange, along with the black bats that are in this mix. Now both of these tags are complete. I think they're adorable. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Check that description box below for any of the products that I used today, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Until next time, bye-bye.